Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another fantastic night of Sci-Fi-vision presents Fandom Access. We are your
Hello.
hosts, and hello, Ark.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
I'm so glad to be back with you after I kind of, missed last
Hey,
week.
last week was fun.
Last week was a disaster all round. Let's just be honest.
Last week was fun.
So, if you tuned in last week, we apologize.
We were fine.
No, well, we had a lot of technical issues, but anyway, we're back, and hopefully it'll go a bit better this week. And the three of us are here. We also pretty soon, and we don't want to announce yet since it's nothing set in stone, but we're probably pretty soon going to have some guests too, within the next couple weeks that'll be coming that everybody will enjoy. But that's all being finalized, all that good stuff. But that'll be soon. But what do we got for tonight, guys? We got
Echoes, Ark, and Snow.
and Snowpiercer, and then after we'll do Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, we've all seen Deadpool, so we'll do it last so people who don't want to be spoiled, haven't seen the movie yet, can drop off, right?
Right.
And we'll talk about that movie. So, okay. So we got 3 shows tonight. It's we have a little bit of a luxury of
More time.
Right? So I think let's talk about Echoes first, since it is the closest to its conclusion.
All right.
How does that feel? Okay.
Sure.
Since we're pretty far along in the in that storyline. So this week's episode is called, what's it called? The Joy
Paradox of Joyce.
Paradox of Joyce. Whatever that means. How'd you guys like this one? I kind of liked this episode. I thought there was like, a bunch of, I enjoyed this episode. I liked it better than some of the earlier ones. What did you guys think?
I'm scanning, trying to remember what happened.
Okay, I'll talk then. So let me start by saying, can we just have Felix in every episode?
Oh, this is when he came back, and yeah, Felix is great.
It's like Felix gets the best lines. But aside from Felix, yeah, no, I enjoyed this episode. I'll tell you what I really like actually is the 3 Eleanors. I like, I go back to what before anybody knew what this show was about, which was what was the tagline? A unique copy of the original. And I think that's exactly what we have here because, in the original, obviously, Tatiana played all the clones. And here we have 3 versions of the same person, but at different ages. So we have different actresses. So it's kind of fun seeing them at different stages of their life. And being their own person, too. Like they're all Eleanor, but they're not. Obviously, the older version is the most like Eleanor because it's only 2 years before she dies. Whereas Lucy and Jules have no friggin' clue. I mean, they do now, but
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I liked seeing them all together. I don't know. I can't imagine why this particular photograph was made available on the press site. There's like almost no photos of the 3 of them together from this episode. There's none from the 3 of them except in the car singing. And this was actually the better picture of the 2, but I thought it was hilarious to show them all like that. I enjoyed that also, AJ, and I enjoy people continuing to like not buy Kira's bullshit. I think maybe that's why I like this episode so much.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's cool to have all 3 of them, and as much as it was like nice when Tatiana played everybody, it's nice to be able to have it different, and it works, and they do have really good interactions together. I think the 3 of them, they work good together.
I think it's interesting that I've noticed is the actors for Jules and Eleanor. You can see a resemblance between them. Like they did a great job casting there. it's funny. I kind of feel like Kristen Ritter's kind of the oddball because you can see that you know what I mean. Like with Jules, you can see how she can turn into Eleanor, but I kind of feel like Kristen Ritter doesn't have quite the same likeness as the other two, which is fine. I just think it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. It being basically impossible to find 3 unrelated actresses who would look that much alike, right?
Yeah.
And I appreciate them though, like trusting the audience to believe it and not doing a bunch of makeup or other kinds of effects to try to make them look more alike, you know?
Yeah, since their makeup and isn't necessarily working as well.
It helps that we also got those flashback scenes of younger Kira and Eleanor, you know, with Kristen Ritter obviously playing that part, you know, so it kind of makes the transition make more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead, Jamie.
No, I was just going to say, I know this is where Emily, they told what really happened, right? Before I'm trying to
we know.
I was just making sure before I said anything. Yeah. I like how they did that. I like that she's is helping them because she kind of seemed like she always wanted to, but was sort of afraid to before. But I like how they kind of, you know, trick and fake her death. I mean, I think it was a smart thing. I don't know that it was completely, you know, a surprise, I guess, out of the realm of possibilities in this show, but I like the way they did it.
Now, did you guys see that coming? The reveal, or were you completely surprised by it?
I mean, I at first, so, you know, they don't, what you see is the shot, you see a long shot of the car and you see the flash of the gun and you don't see what happened. And so I assumed, oh, Kira shot her by accident. She's dead. Kira will be freaking out. I did not at first see that coming. I mean, later when they found nothing, when the car is burned and nothing was found.
Then you pretty much knew. Yeah, I think that's when I knew for sure. I don't remember thinking it at the very beginning. I don't think I thought it until they showed that she, like, the burnt body or whatever, but it's the first time I seen it was so long ago. I honestly don't remember 100%, but
yeah, when you see the shot, you know, and then later when Felix is like, is that blood in your neck? And she's like, what? No, it's a scratch. It's nothing. I'm thinking, okay, well, she just shot Emily. So, you know, but the thing that threw me was when they first started the scene talking about finding the car burnt like that, I was like, Kira doesn't seem like the type to hide that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Kira would just panic and run away. I don't see her being meticulous. So right at that moment, I'm like, oh, she's not dead. And then they're like, yeah, all we found was a jaw. I'm like, no, she totally
now we know she's not dead. Yeah.
She totally printed her jaw. And then, of course, later in the episode, they show the whole scene.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Kira, she's not the kind of, look, it's hard to get a fire hot enough to completely like burn a body to nothing, right? Like, and Kira is not the criminal mastermind to make you have to go into a crematorium, right? So, I mean, I feel like any real police investigation will eventually, like, I don't know, be like, really? No human remains? I don't know. But it was just enough to fool Darrows, which is what they needed right now, right?
Yeah. Because you know what it reminded me of?
They just need to fake it.
It reminded me of one of my favorite scenes from the original, which was when Donnie shot Leaky.
Oh yeah, that's one of the best. Yeah, I love two of them, and then they bury him in the garage.
Yeah, I know, but I will never forget seeing that scene when he shoots him by accident.
Oops. Yeah.
Yeah. It was nice to see Kira like do one thing to help someone. Like I said, I really enjoy Kira. I mean, so I don't want to phrase this as if I like enjoy seeing Kira's life fall apart, but I am I'm pleased that this has consequences for her and that she's not being forgiven. And, you know, we saw, wrong picture. We saw the scene where she encounters Lucas. And, I finally, it came around why earlier in the season they kind of made a big deal that Lucas became a Quaker and a man of faith who is in a family of all scientists, right? And he it was an interesting side turn where he lectures Kira, he talks to first his girlfriend and then to Kira about God creates life, creation is God's responsibility and God's area. And he doesn't say you played God in those exact 3 words, but that is what he's saying to Kira, and he can't forgive her. However, his girlfriend, I feel like for him to have that conversation with the girlfriend, I definitely thought is she a minder in the original Orphan? I think it's a plant, right?
I kind of felt that way when she was like, "I'm here for you," and I'm like, "Oh, that seemed kind of phony." I was like, "Is there something up with the girlfriend?" I felt the same way.
Yeah, it seemed really phony, and I was like, "Oh, has she been a plant? I don't know if Darrow's plant. I don't know what's going on with that." And he hasn't even found out yet what we found the solution that, yes, in fact, we debated earlier in the season, was Kira stealing Lucas's blood? And, somebody said she's hiding his blood. And then someone else said, I think she's stealing his blood, who was me, who said that. And it turns out
I thought she was hiding
the neurons or whatever from it.
I thought it was possible he was a clone.
Yeah, that early.
But then we right the next week we find out he's not.
No, right. And we find out that she's been stealing it to try to do these experiments for Eleanor. And I just the ways that Kira has every week it gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, you find out everything she has done more than we thought.
If let's say Lucas thinks
to be fair though, when she originally had the neurons transplanted though, she knew she was having the surgery, so it wasn't as bad. She just sort of forgot. That one wasn't as bad.
What wasn't as bad?
Originally when she had right before she died, she knew she was getting the surgery. She agreed to the surgery, but then it all went downhill because she sort of forgot that she did and everything else. But I'm just saying, at that point, maybe she was, taking the neurons, stealing it from his blood and doing these experiments. It wasn't a good thing, but at least Eleanor was aware and had consented.
No, there is zero
downhill.
That is okay about stealing. If you said, Lucas, your mom's sick, your blood might be able to help, he would definitely say yes.
I said that's the least bad. I didn't say.
Yeah, Kira's in he's at a blood drive and she goes slinking in and takes his blood.
Yeah, no, so that part's
really
wrong,
something nefarious.
Not hurting anybody in that instance, and I'm saying that it was
Oh my God! The personal violation of there is, just because no one gets an arm chopped off or dies does not make it it's a heinous violation of any person. But no, I'm sorry.
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying out of everything she did, that at least this that she did
the least of all the evils.
Yeah, it's not okay she did it to her son. I'm talking about what she did to Eleanor, of her using his neurons. Taking it from her son without his knowledge, yeah, that's bad. I didn't mean that. I meant the fact that she's implanting them in that and doing this experiment that she consented to is what I was talking about. Out of everything she did, Eleanor at least was aware of that. But that's where it started to go downhill, is what I'm saying.
Well, Eleanor consented to the surgical transplant, not to ongoing.
And she didn't know where she got them, so it wasn't like she knew she stole them from their son.
Well, then she can't really consent. It's a violation of Eleanor. Eleanor never would have consented if Kira said
she knew that. No, that's true.
This is great, except I have to steal blood from our son.
What? Hold on a second. I want to clarify something. Eleanor consented to the whatever she printed.
You're going out, AJ.
Yeah, we can't hear you, AJ.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Eleanor consented to the surgery, which at that point had nothing to do with Lucas's blood.
Right.
She's using Lucas's blood for the supplements that she's been giving her
Oh, that's
since.
true. That's true.
Just to clarify exactly what.
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking
the two
she
separate
used
things.
blood for that. You're right.
Two separate things.
Something that 0 people have consented to.
Okay, so that part she did was consented, but that was the only thing. I'm just saying that's sort of where it started, and it was like it was okay, and then it
I mean,
became not okay really quick.
I mean, it also. I mean, I can't remember if it was what she did. I mean, you could debate about Eleanor's consent
Because she has dementia. That's a good point.
And when she gave it to Kira and how she gave it, right? Yeah. But that's not really the point. But I mean, Kira's just like, it gets worse and worse, right? I mean, at the surface, we can all agree it gets worse every episode, every step of it. And, Eleanor's absolutely right. Eleanor and other people who've said, like, it is 100% out of Kira's selfishness.
Yep.
That, and Eleanor has said, you weren't worried about me, you were worried about you. And like Lucas basically says, you're a pathetic person who can't like deal with any loss whatsoever. So you are just like doing this for yourself. And he's right. And it's interesting because we last saw Kira at 9 years old, who like, I mean, Sarah Manning has her flaws, but she loved that child fiercely and like did a lot of what she did to protect that child, right? And it's interesting, like, to think about where the last like 30 or 40 years of Kira's life went, that she became this like person that like doesn't have any ethics except that what she wants. I don't know if I would call that ethics, right? But that she would, I mean, it's crazy.
It was her short time
AJ, we can't hear you again.
God damn it. It was that short time that she spent with Auntie
Casima.
Rachel. No, Rachel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that short time.
You want to talk about no ethics?
Yeah, Rachel's the queen of no ethics. It's like where that all came from. She's estranged really from Sarah now. She does talk to Casima, who Casima has a flexible relationship with scientific experimentation with the IRB, with the Institutional Review Board.
Yeah.
And so it falls to Felix to like give her the in this like ridiculous art installation.
You have to do this.
I don't know what they were thinking of that.
Yeah, I don't know what that. Wasn't he a painter last time we saw him? Like, what is this?
At some point, yeah.
He was a painter last time we saw him.
Sculptor.
I don't know what this is. I don't know if he created it or if he owns the gallery and he was trying to sell it. I think he came in.
It's an installation he put in the gallery. I think it's been.
Yeah,
I don't.
It's something he created.
He created it.
It was an odd set, and I thought that was a really weird and distracting kind of a set.
However, it did not deter from his lines, which were when Lucas first interrupts and says what he says, hold on, can I get a recap or a last on?
Felix is great.
Which I actually had to pause the show because I was laughing so hard. And then after Lucas walks away, he looks at Kieran, he's like, I believe you would owe me an explanation, Dr. Frankenstein.
At least he sees the problems in what she did.
But in true Felix form, he says what he has to say, and that and he tells Kira, listen, you're not off the hook here, but it came from you made some terrible mistakes. It came from a place of love, but now you have to butch up and you have to fix your mistakes. You need to fix this. You screwed it up. You need to go fix it.
Yeah, I mean that's the lesson.
Puts the responsibility back on her, which is what needed to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many times did he do that to Sarah?
Yeah, a lot.
A lot.
Or Casima even.
And then she says to him, she's like, thanks, Felix. She's like, please don't tell my mother.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh God, no.
That was great.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that Kira can't fix this. Oh, and by the way, I loved this shot when they were in opposite elevators with the glass backing showing like
infinite
versions of them. But so first of all, I don't think they can resolve this, and I think it's being set up for a season 2, right? I mean,
no comment.
2 episodes. But I don't think that Kira can like fix this relationship with Eleanor, because like Kira has to face the fact that
Eleanor's dead.
It's not Eleanor. This person is not Eleanor, right? And Kira should know better, because the Clone Club, were very distinct personalities and people, and they were not. I mean,
she's the one that ruined their relationship too by what she did. She caused it, and that's
well. I mean, and that we talked about this before. She may have all Eleanor's memories, but Kira has been treating her. Kira has been treating her with such kid gloves that she pushed her away.
Yeah, I'm not sure I really buy that as much. Like Eleanor's like, "Oh, you're acting so weird, and so I had to cheat on you." Like that's classic. Like,
well, it wasn't.
Really,
it wasn't that simple. I mean, the conversation was a lot deeper than that.
I'm still not buying it, and I think the betrayal of like finding out that you were printed and all this is
much bigger
more than being like, "Oh, you've been acting so weird around me that I feel like we were." I mean, that could have not happened. Like the revelation of what Kira has done would have blown up their relationship no matter what, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I agree. I don't think that they I think they reconcile, but I don't think they end up together. Exactly like that. Kira has to deal with the loss.
Yeah.
Yes. And also, like, fundamental to this story, I think, it is the lesson that you can't recreate a person. The person is gone. You can't just recreate them. And I don't know. I mean, one reason I think this is going to season 2 is because the Darrow storyline has been stuck in part. I mean, that is so boring. Like Darrow's could be like an evil billionaire trying to get this technology without having a clone of himself who doesn't really do anything or add anything to the story, except he accidentally killed Craig in this episode.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he did have a point. Somebody had to kill Craig.
I had a picture of Craig so we could say rest in peace and goodbye, but I can't.
Shot Craig, right?
Yeah. What?
He shot Craig.
Him. Yeah.
I had his picture to say goodbye to him, but.
He didn't realize how close the bed was, and backed into the bed, fell down, and the gun went off.
Well, he surely has never handled the gun before in his life.
Yeah.
He is sort of the other side of this coin with Eleanor, trying to like, you can't recreate yourself, Darrows. Although I don't know that he's trying to recreate himself. So when Jules gave Xander that nasal spray, he had the memory of Darrows' sister dying in the hospital, right?
Yeah.
I'm not dying, I don't know, being sick in the hospital.
Well, we know she was sick.
Where's she
died? I assume she didn't make it, considering he's got that, whatever the hell that thing that Lucy went to her friend PJ for.
Oh, I don't know about that, but yeah. But so it isn't clear, but like, has Darrow suppressed some memories and not given them all to Xander, whereas Kira's trying to like upload all memories to Eleanor to create the full person. Like, it feels like maybe Darrow has selectively
create the perfect version of him. Yeah.
Yeah, he selectively like deleted some, and he's also raising him in this very controlled environment. I'm not really sure what his goal is. I do think Darrows would probably kill Xander and print out a new version and start over again at this point if he could, right?
Yeah.
Like, life is in danger now, right?
Yeah, that's the one thing though. Like, I can't figure out what is so nefarious that Darrows is up to. Like, it's kind of interesting because on one hand, I mean, Darrows has, it's like he's a philanthropist who has he's done some good stuff, which makes people think, oh, Darrows is wonderful. But but
It just
what
seems
is
like
his
it would have been so much
goal?
easier to have a son. It just seems like he put so much effort into this that he didn't need to just to have a legacy.
Well, no, because your son, but he doesn't want to have a legacy. He personally wants to kind of live forever, right? Like he is.
Yeah, which
I don't know if
he
this,
doesn't get it
but
either.
he knows it's not him. I mean, out of everybody,
But
at least he understands this clone is not me because it's him.
But
you know,
he's training him to be him.
to become a version of him. Yes, but I'm just saying, like, he doesn't expect his soul to transfer to him or something.
but he expects.
But that's my thing though. What is Daros's end game here, and why print jewels?
Yeah, it appears that where's my picture?
Was she practical?
I think she was supposed to be practice, or at least that's what I'm.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, if she was before Xander, maybe she was a trial run. But then why go through all the trouble of putting her in the hospital and conducting this whole story, getting her
maybe to see if he could control their memories, maybe to control the narrative? That would be my guess.
I mean, that's a huge part of the story that we are missing that might bring all this together a little bit.
We don't know that it's correct, right? Jules, it was speculated that Jules was a test print.
That's just me saying it now. We don't know.
Yeah, no, somebody says in this episode that she maybe.
Well, maybe they speculated that too, but I mean, again, why go through all this trouble?
I believe Kira speculated that Jules was a test print because Kira didn't make Jules. And the only other person who has access to a printer is Daros. So if Kira didn't make her, then Daros definitely made her. Right?
We know that.
We know that. So the trouble of putting her in a hospital and all of that,
it's just to see if he can control what she believes. Because if he wants his version to have only the memories he says and become the version of him he wants him to be, he's going to have to lie about things and hide.
Yeah, but Xander,
can I do this?
But Xander knows that he's a printout. You know what I mean? It's a completely different.
Yes, Xander knows he's a printout, but Xander doesn't know what he doesn't know.
There's more going now. There's more to this. I don't know what
AJ, it is. If Jules was printed for, like, I get it. Maybe Jules was printed first, and Daros tried this approach of writing the fake diary and all this stuff and giving her this fake to try to, and he couldn't control her. And so he
decided to tell him the truth instead.
So then raising Xander basically in a lab and telling him everything is his second attempt to see if he could, right? Like maybe his intention has always been to kill Xander and then maybe he's killed a Xander before. We don't really know.
That's possible. Like I said, I feel like there's a whole chunk missing, and it's not going to really be clear to us until we get that chunk.
Yes, and we might not get that chunk this season.
No, I don't think we will.
Because there seems to just be too much to be wrapped up. The whole Daros storyline is creeping and crawling slowly, and we have this. Jules has this. Not Jules. Lucy has the Apple Watch. Not
basically. It still reminds me of Fringe. All the symbols. I know it isn't, but it makes me think of it every time.
I mean, it reminds me of the symbols on the Lost countdown clock. But
that too.
It's like a little security token that the instant it's activated, it goes into it shuts down the entire network of the store, and PJ's like, what the hell are you involved in? Like, this is some serious deep state shit, I think is what she says. And
then she tries to burn it, and she's like, what the hell?
Yeah, there does seem to be more to Daros than just life extension, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All
right.
Did you recognize PJ?
No. Who should I have recognized PJ?
She played Lily on The Expanse. I mean, it was a small role, but
no, I didn't.
She was one of the henchmen on Mars. That drug guy.
No, I didn't.
There was she turned a certain way, and I was like, that looks like the chick that beat the crap out of on The Expanse, and I was right.
All right, good memory, AJ. Good memory. All right, so
Two other things we should mention real quick. Not big scenes, but Melissa has that moment of clarity when Eleanor goes to see her and tells her that she's sick.
Oh, that's a nice episode. I was disappointed that AMC did not provide any photos of Kathy Baker, Kathy Baker on the press site, because I mean it's so great to see her in the show, and it's not a spoilery scene really. It was a very nice scene, and I think we all liked how they didn't use it like as a story revelation. They used it more as just like character development for Eleanor. I liked that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my the biggest question I have though is, how does everybody feel about Jack and the passports? Are we all hoping that Lucy says just take them and go?
Oh yes, I'm hoping Jack's got to go. Jack and Charlie are like they need to be pruned out of the story and sent away. And it's clear that Lucy wants to stay with the other Eleanors.
Oh, absolutely.
And pursue this, right?
Born between both sides. Yeah, she's got a choice.
And Jack, I don't know. Jack should like try to understand. And I don't know. I kind of think like we've all got to get out of the country business is a little bit overkill anyway. So just go. Just go, Jack. Be gone.
Yeah, Jack's got to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. He's gonna be like, we have to leave, and Lucy's gonna be like, okay. I mean, they've only been dating for a year anyway, so let them just go.
I doubt that will happen, but yeah.
I mean, he's not contributing anything to the story at all. Like he's been a drag on the story the entire time. Like I feel like that part of the story has not
could have been pruned a bit. Yeah,
has not really performed for me.
That whole part of the story was just kind of to get the ball rolling with Charlie shooting the guy.
And it didn't even really need to happen. Like Lucy could have shot him, or anybody could have shot him. And, they got so into at the beginning of Charlie feeling so guilty and like, I should turn myself into the police and all this. And then they just kind of dropped that. And now it's a lot of like Jack, like.
Yeah, I like the characters, but they didn't do enough with them.
You know what's funny?
They just sort of drop it.
I don't particularly like Jack. There's not enough to him to like or dislike.
That's what I mean. They didn't develop them enough.
I actually forgot about them until they showed up in this episode.
I get this feeling from Jack. I don't know. The words that come out that they script for Jack are supportive. And yet the feeling I get from him is like, why are you paying attention to those clones and not to me? Pay attention to me. Don't Charlie I mean anything to you.
I get the same feeling.
Yeah. And he doesn't say it, but he just feels like this. Pay attention to me.
It's his vibe.
Yeah. 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 And like the whole staying with his sister or whatever she is, like what's
she's
just
an army
buddy. Like she's another extraneous character that doesn't need so many speaking lines. Like, couldn't they just be renting a dingy motel room and not have her as like this? I'd like to see them pare down the cast a little bit, or have some cast members that mean more or a little more interesting. Yeah, it'd be great to see Jack like get on the plane and be gone.
You know what else? I would love that, but you know what? You know what's probably going to happen? Probably not this season, but Charlie's going to get kidnapped at some point.
Darrows will kidnap her and use her to force Lucy to come in.
Yep.
Yeah. God, I hope that doesn't happen only because it's so predictable, right? Yeah. So,
all right.
So AMC pulled that thing at the end of the show where it says only one more episode until the finale.
So there's
two more episodes.
Including the finale, yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So, how about the arc?
All right, we're done with that. I was going to say, I'm just like somewhat being quiet because I know what happens. So
this arc is called The Other You. And it is.
I like this episode.
It's like a multiverse episode, kind of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where Bryce gets sucked into the other. Bryce and Kat basically flip. It's one of those deals where you like they flip to replace because they're dead in the other.
Yeah, although somehow Kat went for clothes and he didn't.
Yeah, and I gotta say, until I realized, I was very excited to see Kat until I realized what was going on, and I was like, "Oh, she's only in the one episode."
Yeah.
And I was like,
kinda
"Why is her
hoping
hair?"
at first, like maybe somehow they'd be able to keep her there, but that wouldn't be fair to her either.
And it was funny because I was like, "Why is her hair longer?" And I was like, "Wait, why is she British?"
Why does she
And
have
then,
an accent? Yeah, why is she British?
yeah, and then everybody, of course, said the same thing. Oh, apparently you're British now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's just because she was married to him and around him more, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he blooped into the stasis chamber. He was naked because he blooped into the stasis chamber where she had been, right? You have to be naked in stasis. Wasn't she naked when she got up and she put on that outfit? Didn't she wake up in the stasis
I thought
chamber?
she had on the suit, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, she woke up naked in the stasis chamber and she put on that suit.
Yeah, when you bloop to the alternate reality, you show up naked. Because your clothes can't.
More sense.
I don't know.
Had clothes. I didn't remember. I wasn't really looking at her to remember.
What do you mean you don't know? Clothes can't bloop, apparently.
No, I know, but I mean, I noticed he didn't have the clothes. I didn't notice whether she did or not. Is what it.
Yeah, no, she didn't have clothes on when she sat up.
No, I believe you. I just meant I wasn't really like looking.
Well,
at
she
her
didn't have any clothes on where she blooped from. In the other universe, she was in stasis and was therefore naked.
Yeah,
she wasn't.
No, because think about it.
She's dead.
Trust had clothes on.
That's what I was thinking. He just tightened his suit. So why did she not then? See, that's why I said I don't remember honestly if she had a suit on or not.
I think the first time we saw him, he was all.
Okay, hold on. The first time we see Kat in the episode, she wakes up in the pod and she's naked because she's in our universe. Just like Bryce, when he went to their universe, he was naked.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So it wasn't that she needed to be naked in the pod. It's because she blooped to the universe without her clothes. Got it. That makes sense. Okay.
Clothes can't bloop.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. At any rate, it was nice to see Kat back for the one episode. I mean, she had appeared in like a trailer I knew she'd be back because she appeared in in some trailer that they released or some
which we know they don't make the choice of. So,
well, of course, an actor doesn't make the choice of whether.
No. I mean, even the writers, like of what they show. I just meant we know.
Yeah, we know how that works.
What they've shown isn't necessarily what they wanted.
Maybe. I mean, we know certainly
could not be.
We know certainly on a channel like Game. I mean, I guess on Sci-Fi also. Anyway, I knew that she was coming because I'd seen her in a trailer that was released. So I knew she'd be on. At any rate, it was kind of nice to see her, and she's this totally.
Person.
She's this totally like other version where she has like a PhD. She's a really smart scientist. She's a very serious person, and she is married to Trust, right?
Yeah.
Which was kind of a huge thing, because he was never married to Helena in her universe either. Like, she's kind of shocked to hear that.
And it seems like maybe he was a better person because he was married to her, too. I mean, that's what I infer from that. It isn't outright said, but...
Yeah.
I think he was just a better person to begin with.
Well, but I'm just saying, like, I kind of took it to mean that she changed him.
Actually, I kind of felt the way they were talking about his other wife that
his other wife.
It sounded like he started to get nice after they separated.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's
neither here nor there.
Well, I mean, they didn't explore like the many things that could happen in a life differently, leading up to that point. I think one of the most kind of meaningful changes we saw was Spence's father doesn't die on the moon, and turns out he's a total jerk, and Spence has grown up to be a very different kind of a young man, right?
Yeah.
Very, very smart young man, though.
Yeah, he's very smart, but he's very can't think of the right word for it. Meek, I guess, is probably.
Yeah, because his father's a gigantic bully who undermines him all the time, like basically.
Well, he's like Alicia. He's like Elisa.
Alicia, yeah.
You know how she's always kind of like that. Like he was basically acting how she always acts.
That's true. That's true. And Ark saying something that's true too.
Yeah, I
She
was just gonna
wants to
say
know.
that.
Whoops, we both hit it at the same time. Wants to know what Bryce is hiding on the moon mission. Did he? Okay, so he did go on the mission or no? I'm trying to remember because the fact is that he died on that mission in the other universe.
Right.
But
he died
and saved everybody in the Prime reality. Everybody there died.
But did he actually go on the mission? That's what I'm trying to remember.
Well, that's how it ends. That's how it ends. Someone says to him, "Were you really on that moon mission?" And Kimmy says, "We're on that moon." And he says, "If I was on that mission, everybody would have lived."
Yeah. So he didn't go on the mission. So I guess the question is why.
He doesn't say yes or no.
He doesn't say yes or no.
Okay, but he's implying he didn't, but that's not an answer.
Right. He deflects.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think he was on that mission. You would have to believe that he was on a mission to the moon where every single person was killed, and then somehow he got back to Earth,
survived, and nobody else did.
He got back from the moon to the Earth by himself somehow without anybody knowing. I mean, I guess there's frequent travel and he could have hidden or whatever. I don't know. And then gets onto an Ark and all this, and nobody knows about his military service or what happened. Like, it makes no sense. I don't think he was there.
Would him not going have anything to do with him being sick?
Okay, but I was just going to say the same thing. What Ark is questioning here is, why does he avoid the question then? Why does he deflect he deflects the question instead of flat out answering it?
All right, but that's kind of his way, is to be a jokey guy and to be like, "Oh, come on, if I was there, everybody will." I mean,
yeah, there was. I feel like there was more to it. I don't know what the story is, obviously, but I definitely feel like there's more to it. I don't think it's that cut and dry, especially knowing that Kimmy is looking into something.
But that's not why Kimmy is there. Kimmy,
we don't know why Kimmy's there.
No, we don't.
I think she says she doesn't. She isn't she looking into a she? I'm trying to remember.
I
can't remember if it was a she or a
she said the lieutenant. She said
lieutenant. No, you're right. She did. She said that.
Well, they were all lieutenants when they woke up.
Right.
I don't believe that she was sent to investigate whether or not Bryce was on a moon mission.
I don't think so either.
I don't think that specifically yet, but I'm just saying it's connected.
Could be, yeah.
That's where the breadcrumbs are leading.
I mean, it could be. I don't know that I kind of believe she might have been sent to, I still think Garnet being a clone makes her, and what's her name? The mother on the other Ark. Her interest in post-human, and what's her name?
Maddox.
Her interest in like implants in human like, I just feel like her interest in like having all these implants put in her daughter and these other kind of things, and that she would be really interested in a person who's a clone. I still
maybe she didn't Garnet. I don't know. Ark is saying that thinks that the lieutenant's a he. I don't think they said one way or another. I just couldn't remember. That's why I was like questioning, was it a he or a she?
Yeah, they never say she,
but I don't.
They just said the lieutenant.
I think that's.
I agree with Saul that Bryce is a red herring, and that you guys are. I think you're reading too much into it, and that he just threw off a joke, and that he was. I just don't see any way he could have, like, unless he's also. I just don't see how he could have been in this moon mission and no one knows about it. And if he was sent to the moon on a mission, like, wouldn't Kimmy easily find that in his military records?
Not if it was Black Ops.
Okay, but like, I'm sorry, Maddox is a person who like is at the highest level of
and would have found out.
She developed the Ark program. She hand selected all the people who went on Ark 1. Like, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I think it could go either way. I don't. I feel like we don't have enough information yet to say one way or another. But I can see both sides. I think it could. I really think it could go either way. But yeah, it could just be a throwaway line. It's hard to tell because we haven't seen more. Because you're right, he does usually act jokey like that, and he may have just been deflecting because he deflects, not for any reason other than that. But I also see Ark saying, why? Is there more to it? There definitely
it might not be
It could be.
deflecting to say.
Yeah,
he's
it might just be the way he responded. That's why I said he implied he didn't go. Maybe he just really didn't go. And that's
to
the
say
answer.
he's deflecting is reading into it. Like he could also
Yeah.
meant like, are you insane? Like obviously I didn't, because I would have saved everybody. You know,
That's true.
I did enjoy a lot of how they had a good time with this episode. I mean, they made Kat to be a very different person, but you know, they made Angus to be this totally different guy who was like
that was funny.
Hard ass
Angus was a bit of a
guy.
dick.
He was, right?
He
was
was.
a jerk.
I love how Alicia's like trying to get Bryce to sleep with her just to piss off Angus. That was funny.
I liked how they made Alicia like, she's like, oh, I couldn't afford to go to college. I don't have any degrees. And like that, whatever happened in her life, like I liked how they used, I don't know, I liked how they set up different paths for people. They didn't really talk about how Angus got to be in security and not. I mean, maybe this was his real, I forget what their real jobs were. Like everybody's doing, like Alicia really was in waste management.
Yeah.
And because so few people survived and because she's so smart,
everybody got promoted pretty much.
Angus really, I can't remember if he really was in security.
No, Angus was always playing with plants.
He was always what, AJ?
He was always playing with plants.
He was always going to be like an agriculturist.
Yeah, but he was like an apprentice though. The person that was supposed to be in charge died.
And he became in charge.
Died. When they stuck all the high people in the same pod.
Yep. Then they did this where, you know, Garnett was engaged to Bryce before he was killed. There was a moment when I thought maybe it wasn't going to be Garnett. Maybe it was going to be the sister.
Oh, that was interesting.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. But yeah, I think they said her name. That we know though it's her because they said her name.
Yeah, we know it's
They didn't just call her Garnett. They called her by her first name.
Yeah, that was an interesting thought that I hadn't thought about. But so Ark thinks because of this that's her Juno match.
Yeah, could be.
Could be. Luckily, she doesn't believe in that.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter one way or another.
It would explain the funny look on her face when she looked into it, though.
Yeah,
yeah, it would.
Yeah.
This isn't right. No. Yeah, that was cute though. I like how they did that. It was sad, but it was cute. I mean, it was funny too. But yeah, I liked that story, and it was nice that like she got to say goodbye to him. I feel though like some of this doesn't necessarily have a reason for how their lives were different, other than I think they just wanted to show them as kind of like a completely different version than what we're used to seeing. Just like with Angus, like I don't think it necessarily matters how he became a security person. Like, was that even in their thoughts, or did they just want to make him a dick because it was funny? You know what I mean? Like it was just something.
Yeah, I think some of it was kind of made sense.
It could have been both.
Like with Alicia being, you know, waste management.
Yeah, hers made sense.
Well, they also did that bit where Felix is involved with another person, right? He's dating in this world.
And then he bumps into that person at the end of the episode.
Yeah, but I mean, what I was going to say is he dating because he never was married, right? He must not be married.
Or he's
a cheater. While his husband's on the other arc, or like he must not have a husband and a child on another arc that may or may not have been killed. I don't know. Like we don't really know. It was interesting. I thought, you know, Jamie is bringing up like, oh, is it about like how your life could have been different, or is it just for jokes or whatever? I feel like
it's a bit of both.
I feel like AJ, Jamie didn't watch Star Trek, but you know, Discovery played with this more than once. I mean, the whole, you know, there's the alternate universe with Giorgio in like the first season. There was that moment in this last season where Burnham traveled and saw like other versions, right? Like they did it also. I mean, it's a similar show. It's set in space, people on a spaceship, right? But that's this show made me think of that while I was watching it. I don't know if you thought of that at all, the way Discovery, or like, I don't know.
I didn't really think about Discovery, but it's just kind of classic, you know, alternate reality stuff. I mean, hell, the other reality has, it's. I mean, I guess you could kind of look at like when talk about dark matter. It's about choices you make, and just
Yeah.
they were just showing different paths that people could have ended up on.
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
Fringe did it also, right? With two totally different Walters. Two
Yeah,
totally
it's true.
areas. Yeah.
One thing before I forget again, I like that Bryce kind of lied to Lane.
Yeah,
When he was
I'd
talking
like
to him, he was like,
to
"Oh,
make
what
him
was my
feel
dad
better.
like?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, he was really proud of you over there." Kind
Yeah,
of give
I thought that was nice.
it was complete bullshit. But it gave our Lane, kind
Some
of
closure. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because his father was killed on that moon mission years ago, and it let him, gave him a little. That was nice. I did like that. Uh, so before we move on, because I have one more thing that I wanted to say, but so Ark really likes how Felix might. So I thought also bumping into that guy, could it be a new love interest?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was implying that.
Although that guy being on the Ark could be a messed up timeline. So I did, before we wrap this up, I think the biggest thing that happened was Kat, who in her universe, like there's tons of like post-humans with like implants who are allowed to like go around and whatever, and she's kind of appalled, and she leaves Kelly the iWatch communicator thing.
I think that was really irresponsible, and maybe she should have found out why Kelly did not have control over her own. I mean, like, I get her point, but she didn't like look into why. Because if she had, she would have known there was a reason why she didn't have control of it.
Well, no one says like, so Kelly's the only one. She's the only person with implants, and they're illegal, right? So like, no one says that to Kat, and no one says, "Oh, Kelly's totally psychotic and tries to kill people even when her implants are turned off."
Yeah,
yeah. It was hugely. It's hugely irresponsible. Yes, Jamie, I agree. It's irresponsible on the part of Kat, and I think it's kind of not good writing.
Like,
I feel like it's going to be one of those situations where we all think it was a huge mistake,
and it'll probably save somebody's life.
Yeah, it'll probably work. It'll probably turn out to be a good thing because we all expect it to be a bad thing.
Yeah, probably at some point. I mean, I'm trying to remember when they had her talk to Kat. She was like handcuffed and stuff, right? So she had to know that it wasn't just, I assume, because she was post-human or whatever, but
that she killed a bunch of people.
That there was probably a reason why. Like it wasn't like she just talked to her in like normal conversation in the lunchroom or something. Like I'm pretty sure she was handcuffed when she was talking to her, so she had to have known that she was a prisoner or that something went wrong or whatever. That she should have like asked at least.
Yeah, no. Kat was just Kat was just thinking along the lines of how her world is.
Yeah.
Not even taking into consideration
that there might be a reason. Yeah.
And that they don't allow you to control your. I mean, Kelly. Yeah, it makes no sense. If anybody had, we'd have to assume there was a conversation off screen. They're like, "Oh, you should talk to Kelly, our prisoner, who killed a bunch of people, right?" Like, and also, like, along with those implants, she had a bomb implant. Like, it kind of makes no sense that Kat would even do that, even if she had the slightest piece of information, right?
Yeah, there's a little bit.
I mean, Saul has a point. Kat's not affected by it. She goes back to her.
Yeah. Richard. Not sure that's a good reasoning for it to give, but yeah. But that is true.
She doesn't have to live with it. Kelly, I mean, Kelly has expressed some remorse over the people that she killed. She's, she really, though, doesn't express remorse. She clearly is still obsessed with Angus and probably will try to kill
Alicia
at some point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and her being able to control her own implants. I mean, I forget what they are, how many she has, but they're a lot. Yeah.
But either way, it allowed her to hear the other universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ark saying we're gonna have to deal with it. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's gonna become a plot point. It's not just Kelly
Yeah.
can control her life. There's something.
That's how TV shows work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So.
Alrighty.
All right.
All right, Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer. I just rewatched it tonight so I could be all up to date.
Oh my gosh! I just reminded me. I was just wanted to say something. This has nothing to do with it, but it has to do with Jennifer Connelly. Reminding me when you saw this. They had this. I just happened to catch part of it, and I'm assuming I think it said it was on Disney. I might go watch part of it. But they had this thing on with Jim Henson, and it had her in Labyrinth. Do you know she was 14 when she was in that?
Yes.
I didn't realize she was that young.
When she was in what?
Labyrinth. Which is kind of makes it really creepy. I mean, like, I never really thought about it, but she's sort of like set up a little bit to be his love interest, and that's like really, really creepy.
I've never seen Labyrinth, so I don't know.
Oh my God, Karen, how have you never seen Labyrinth?
I've never seen Labyrinth.
Go watch it. It's good.
Well, Karen, go watch Labyrinth after this podcast.
Yes. Okay. All right.
And whose hand is that? Wait, whose hand is that and what? What is Ark talking about? Whose hand is that?
She's jumping right into Snowpiercer.
Oh! I thought you meant the picture. I'm like looking at the promo picture, like I don't see a hand. Yeah, no.
I don't have a picture of the severed hand. I mean, I know whose hand it is, but yeah.
Well,
so yeah, I mean, that was kind of cool. So we have like two separate, like we have this other mystery going on New Eden. I kind of really liked how that's developing. You guys, how'd you guys? I've seen this episode now twice, so you guys talk first.
I like how I like Javi's the stuff with Javi, and I don't remember her name.
Roche.
No.
White.
Yeah. I liked them kind of working together, and I thought it was funny though how she's like, "Oh, I'm from Wilfred's trade. You know, I've seen enough. I've seen severed body parts before, whatever it was she said." But I like how I don't know. I like their interactions. I also like how he like stuck up for himself. He's like, I don't need you, but yet he also realized he was being an ass. But I don't know. I liked their interactions, and I liked the stuff with Roche too. But I also like that Javi's kind of on the other side. He's like, they need to know the truth and not just hear that everything is going to be fine, because it's not. So I thought that kind of juxtaposition was interesting. But yeah, I'm not surprised that they can't find Liliana that fast. And I don't know. I'm curious if she's not really on the train, or it's just that she's not where they're saying. I can't remember if the very end was the end of the episode or the promo for the next episode. So I don't know if I should say anything, but I'm guessing that that's where Liliana is at any rate.
I'm assuming if Liana isn't on Snowpiercer, then she's probably
Liana. Why am I calling her Liliana? Liana.
I don't know what you were. I didn't know what you were saying actually.
I don't know. Don't mind me. I gave her.
I would assume she's at the compound with where Melanie is.
Could be.
I mean, we knew that it was a trap.
Well, yeah.
But it was kind of interesting in this episode to see how it all played out and how it turned out to not. It's not a trap for Leighton. They didn't kidnap Liana to trap Leighton.
No, they wanted to
kidnap. Let me finish. They kidnapped Liana to get Leighton to bring Big Alice to them. They want both trains.
Yeah.
And so I think, from when this baby was kidnapped, you thought at first, oh, they want the baby. Why do they want this baby? Then it was like, oh, they want Leighton. They're luring Leighton right to them. Leighton, or maybe Leighton and Josie, or the people, the leadership of New Eden they're trying to get. And then it turns out by the end of this that what they want is a train.
Yeah, I actually figured sooner than that they wanted Big Alice. That it wasn't. It was. I figured it was about Big Alice because I knew that Leighton would do that.
Yeah.
That Leighton would.
Yeah, taking Liana says, okay, Leighton's gonna bring. The only way Leighton can get there is Big Alice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought I had a feeling right away that they actually wanted the train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys a question because I don't want to belabor it and I don't want to get into it if it didn't happen yet. But what happens at the very end? Because I'm really not sure if what I saw.
Wait,
was
you've seen everything too now?
No.
No.
At the very end of the episode, I'm not sure if I can't remember if there was a promo.
There was a
what
promo.
happened at
Yes.
the very end was not actually the end of the episode. In case people didn't see the preview, if it didn't happen, I don't want to mention. Is why I'm asking. But no, I didn't see ahead.
So at the end of the episode,
Roche disappears. That's the end of the episode.
Yeah, they're in the snow.
Okay, then what I saw was a promo, so I'll just
Oz and Roche are in the snow, and they become separated, and it's like a total blizzard. They're out looking for whoever is missing. They're looking for a person with no hand, and Oz is, and they become separated, and Oz is like, Roche, and that's how it ends. On the train, Leighton had tried to make something happen, didn't work out, and I guess Milius was like, "Oh, I can take you too. She's not on this train, Liana, but I can take you to her, or whatever." Right? Does he say that, or he says, "I can lead you"? Oh, he says, "I can lead you to her." He doesn't say if she's on the train or not. He just says, "I can take you to her," and that could mean he's taking him to like the car that she's in, or it could mean not, right? And then the other thing
so clearly he wasn't.
The other thing that happens at the end is when Javi's like, "I had one of these chips in my hand to open doors on Snowpiercer. This hand is from a passenger. This hand is not from a stranger. This hand is from a stranger. It's from a Snowpiercer passenger." Yeah. Ark thinks Liana has a big part to play as well. That it's not just they wanted Big Alice, that they do want the baby. I mean, let's face it. She's like, there's not a lot of children. They have separated the children from the adults, which Till tells
more powerful.
Tells Josie they've taken the children away to keep all the passengers in line, to keep us working, and to keep everybody.
And to make sure they don't have another coup.
They took the children away. So, I mean, it could be that they want these children for a reason. I don't know. So Milius is kind of weird, right? I don't have a picture of Milius from this week, but Milius is kind of weird because Milius is like, we're doing this to save the human race. We're doing this to save the human race. And then there's a throwaway line where Dr. Nebish, I forget his name, I forget his name, Nico.
Dr. N.
Dr. N, he says like, "Oh, this is really dangerous. Somebody could die." And Milius goes, "Oh, well, 40 people have already died working on this train. A couple more won't make any difference." And I'm like, wait a minute, there's only like 900 humans left alive. And you keep saying this is all for the good of the human race. And like already 40 there. And there was an scene last week where Dr. N says, do 100 people really have to, when he shot a hole in the car, was going to freeze everyone. And Dr. N says, do 100 people really have to die? And like Milius is so what do you guys think is up with that guy?
I think he just doesn't care. I don't think he really cares about the people. I mean, I think in a way, maybe he cares about saving the human race as a whole, but only in the way that it affects him and that he wants to live as well, maybe. That's about it.
He cares more about the mission than he does about the people.
Yeah.
Because he kind of looks at I don't think he'd care if everybody on Snowpiercer died because there's more people that are alive. They just got to procreate some more. Like, if they complete the mission, then they save the human race. It doesn't mean they actually need humans.
Yeah, they don't need tons of humans, just some.
They don't need a lot of humans to save the human race in his mind.
Because he'll set you up with your perfect genetic Juno match, and then
there you go.
Sounds like it.
I'll tell you what. I watch these episodes very angry. I'm very angry every week because
me too.
I watch these decisions, and I gotta say, it's very frustrating because Milius is just so
horrible.
Yes, I just want to punch the guy, and I said to Artie, I was like, it may be part of it because I'm having trouble seeing Clark Gregg play a villain.
Yes.
I don't know.
I watched the first time I watched it, and as I continue to watch it, every time he speaks, I want to punch him in the face. I'm like,
Yeah.
everything he says, and he says it with that. I mean, this is some good acting. He says it
he's
with this
great actor.
smarmy, smirky.
And he's better than everybody, and he knows what he wants. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Don't you want to punch him, Jamie? Maybe you're not as violent as we are.
I gotta tell you, actually,
I don't know him as well as you do, I don't think. I mean, I know him from Avengers, but that's about it.
I gotta say, I want him. I said to Artie, I was like, I never thought I'd say these words, but I want Clark Gregg's character to meet. I can't wait till he meets his end.
He's so horrible that he can't live, right?
He's too worse than Wilford.
He's awful.
As much as I hate Wilford, Milius. Wilford ain't got nothing on Milius.
He's kind of worse than Milford.
But this idiot too, this doctor, like, I don't understand him. He's like, if you kill more of Melanie's people, she's gonna be really mad. And he's like, and Millie's like, I don't care. But yet you lead Leighton into the trap after you poisoned one of the friggin' soldiers. Like, I'm gonna help you feel better. Yeah, you're gonna feel. I'm thinking, yeah, you're gonna feel better because you ain't gonna be feeling anything after he gets done with you.
Yeah.
He's like, well, help with the team.
I think he's good, but he's scared and he's not willing to fight.
But that's stupid. He's down there trying to stop him from hurting anybody else. Comes poisons the soldier. Comes across Leighton and then leads Leighton right into the trap.
Yeah, that I didn't get. He was supposed to be helping Leighton, but yet he was hiding the radio and screwing him over. That's
what I'm saying. Like, these people are dumb. I mean, and on top of that, our people are not that bright either.
That's true.
Like, I'm sorry. At this point, I gotta say, I'm really surprised in Ruth because I would have turned Big Alice around already.
Yeah, I was surprised she didn't.
Because
at one point she's like, well, it's a little late now, but
they've got 2 weeks left and we don't know how long it takes Big Alice to go however far or whatever. So I would think that, I mean, Ruth is smart enough to know that shit went sideways and yeah, we don't want to leave our people, but a lot more people are going to die if we don't turn Big Alice around.
Trap too. As soon as she knew it was a trap, it's like Leighton made his choice. Go back and save your people.
I was kind of surprised also at Ruth, who has, through all of this, she has kind of always made the right decision, always in favor of the group. And I think while it's horrible that the baby's been kidnapped and her mother killed, I think that is it worth risking all of New Eden for Lyanna? And I think it's not. I mean, if we're going to talk about like the future of the human race and like whether, what Milius is doing is really for the benefit of the future of the human race, New Eden also is a place that is about the future of the human race, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, to jeopardize all those people to freeze to death because of this is a little... Yeah. Now I'm going to push back a little, Jamie. It's surprised that Jamie is still my friend because I'm always such a jerk about this that I push back on you saying I think he's good. Dr. N is good because, I just...
I think he's inherently good. He's not good. I think it's a lot of more. All the things are always morally gray. When I say that, I don't mean like, oh, he's the good guy. I just mean like inherently, I don't think that he wants to kill people. I think that he does want to save the human race. I just think that maybe he's an idiot and not going about it the right way. And I don't think he cares enough to be brave enough to do the right thing. Is that a better? Maybe
yes. Yeah. I mean,
description.
Yeah. I mean, he thinks so. He could
I've got a comment about him in a second.
Much like AJ often says to us, the bad guy always thinks he's the good guy.
Yeah.
Everyone's the hero in their own story.
Yeah. But I guess in my mind, he's not, when I'm saying he's not a bad guy or whatever, I more mean like he's not out to murder people. That's not what he's about. He does want to save people, even if he's not.
I don't know.
It may not be his. I think his number one priority is really saving the human race, and I don't think he wants people to die. Does that mean that he does the right things, or he is brave and, you know, saves people? Maybe not. But he's not Milius. He's not, you know, what's his face?
I have a comment about that in a second, but I wanted to point out what Ark said about Ruth. You know, Ruth specifically went on Big Alice to make sure that it was back in time. And
yeah, she didn't do her job.
Finish that conversation. Milius compared to the Doctor here, in a way, I think the Doctor is worse because the
devil, you know, at least you know what.
Yeah, in a way, because
that's true.
I mean, Milius makes a comment to the Doctor. He says, he's like, just remember, we wouldn't be here doing all this if it wasn't for you and your friends in the first place. So I'm pretty sure the Doctor was one of the scientists that was involved with creating the snow-covered Earth in the first place during with all their experiments. I forget exactly what the hell they did, but I'm pretty sure he was part of that band of idiots.
The scientists, because of global warming, the scientists shot a bunch of stuff up into the atmosphere to stop global warming, and instead they created a new ice age.
Yeah.
And it was the fault of the scientists that all this happened.
Yeah, he was one of them.
I mean, there's a part of me that watched this and thought, wow. So that scene, the drop and give me 20 scene, was almost kind of hard to watch, to see the way Milius humiliates Dr. N. Right? I was like, it was hard to watch because, I mean, that's another time when I want to punch him in the face and just.
Yeah, I did there too.
Definitely. He definitely is a psycho. But and so part of me felt like, oh, this is like an abusive relationship. This scientist is in an abusive relationship with this, you know.
And that's what he's doing. He's saying, remember your place. I can kill you if I want to. I mean, that's basically what he's saying.
He is, but then I remembered that earlier, there's a part of the episode where the soldier with the mouse, the rat, Mr. Rat or Mr. Fish or whichever one it is, one of the soldiers is like struggling to breathe, and the scientist guy, Dr. N, is like, oh, let me see, I have something that can help you, and he says, these experiments weren't supposed to affect your respiratory system in the way they had. I'm really sorry about that. Like, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that's basically what he says, right? Do you remember that? And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. So you performed human experimentation on these guys, and that's why they can't breathe? And like, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. So you are not a good, you are at best morally gray, at worst, also
but to be fair, to be 100% fair, we don't know. No, wait, listen to what I have to say. We don't know that those soldiers didn't volunteer for the experiments.
I'm sure they did.
Well, but I mean, they may, because I'm kind of wondering, and maybe I'm wrong, but I kind of wonder if maybe before they knew they could make these warm spots, is if maybe he had a way that he thought people could survive the cold, kind of like what they did with what's his name?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. So, I mean, they may have honestly volunteered and really meant it, did it, you know, they wanted to live. They thought that it would help them. So, again, doesn't make it okay to, you know, experiment on people, but.
That's what I was going to say, is he probably tried to do some version of what Dr. Quackers did.
Yeah.
Dr. Quackers.
She's fucking nuts.
She is nuts.
Which brings me actually, well, hold on. We'll finish this part of the story first. But I was saying before, our people are so stupid. Like, first of all, I think Josie's a little more badass than what just happened. She got taken down by 2 run-of-the-mill regular guards.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad. But not for nothing. If you don't want Miles to get involved, fine. But her and Till could have taken those 2 out, no problem. I mean, Josie should have been able to do it on her own. So I felt that was kind of that might have been a little bit of lazy writing.
Josie
wanted to save
get us to a situation.
Yeah, I agree.
Josie essentially doesn't feel pain, right? I mean, that's part of the experimentation. She doesn't feel pain.
So why didn't she fight them? Yeah.
She tried to and got taken out.
Right, but yeah, that's true. But I mean, I guess I felt like she gave up, but maybe it's just her right. How did she get taken out so easy? Not that she gave up.
That was
Felt
that
like
was
she gave up, I guess.
Okay, but back in New Eden, I have a question, and maybe I feel like I must be forgetting something, but where the hell is Bosk?
Boki?
Yeah.
Did he get hurt? Because you're going to say, why didn't they take him on the train, right?
No, I'm going to say, why haven't we seen him in 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Oh, I
mean, the last time we saw him was when he took the when he went out with Alex's bird.
Yeah. Maybe he's needed in New Eden. Maybe they can't take everybody on the train.
No,
maybe there's
no. Where is he in New Eden? That's what I'm saying. Like, how have we not seen him? Like, why isn't he going with Oz and Roche up the side of the mountain? You know, why isn't he involved? Like, I find it interesting that the one guy that can withstand the cold better than anybody isn't involved in any of this.
Nope, because there are too many people on the show and they can't all speak every week. Look at all these people. Look at all these people in this room.
I feel like he's MIA for a reason. Something doesn't seem right there. And if it is just because they the writers forgot about him, that's pretty bad.
No, I mean, could be his. Maybe it's his hand.
Maybe I don't know. Was it big enough to be his hand? He's a big dude.
I don't know. I bet he would have big hands. Yeah. I mean, it could be at this point. Anybody that you haven't seen, it could be their hand, right?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people we haven't seen.
Yeah, I'm kind of wanting to go back to that promo and be like, wait, did I check that out? Because it made me kind of wonder now, and I won't go there for people who haven't seen the preview, but it made me kind of wonder if it's from that.
You know what they say about big hands? Big gloves.
Big feet.
You got big feet?
Gloves. You need big gloves.
Feet, yeah.
Did you feel a lot of tension? So, I watched the first 5 episodes in one chunk, and then I watched the second 5 episodes in one chunk. And I remember speaking to the creators for the interview that's up on Scifi-vision.com. And I was like, God, the tension, like episode after episode, the tension is so high.
Oh, I absolutely feel it. That's why I'm angry for an hour.
You're angry all the time.
At least I don't feel claustrophobic and depressed watching it like I did last.
Yeah.
There's that positive. I noticed that. I don't feel so down when I watch it this time. I don't know.
I mean, this scene is in a train car, right? They're still using train cars.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
I mean, we had an entire episode that took place aboard. Well, I mean, so they're not. I mean, this is a train car also that is.
They can go outside.
Office. They can go outside, but most of this episode took place on Snowpiercer, and I don't have a lot of photos. They were in the under train. They were on top of the train.
It's not focusing on that aspect, I think, is the reason. Like, it's not.
I mean, I mean, it's the 4th episode, and we're still on a train, and people are going to be on trains a lot.
True.
I mean, it is really about the train.
No, it is.
I mean, if they completely leave the trains,
then it's not about Snowpiercer. So
that is not Snowpiercer. And so another episode has gone by with no sign of Wilford.
Yeah, I don't expect to see Wilford till the tail end of the show. Maybe within the last 3 episodes.
Like an aha moment, like he shows up somewhere.
Well, there's only 5 left, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So. Yeah,
I mean, I've said it. I've already said it.
There's 6 left.
I think he's behind all of it.
No, I think this is 5.
This was 4, Jamie.
Okay, you're right. It is 4. I apologize.
Okay, so we got that's right. Because Artie and I had a conversation about how many are left the other night.
Yeah, I thought it was 5.
So I'm going to throw this out there, and I don't want a reaction from Karen. Because because I got to say, because the way they did the first episode, the timeline of when things were happening is a little murky. But I really, just a thought that popped in my head. I really hope that I am nowhere near correct. But so I guess I'm going to just put this out there to Jamie and Ark. Is it possible? Like how much of this is Mel on board with? Like, could Liana be with her?
I'm like, she don't know anything that's happening.
Because it's like, that's what I'm saying. How much does she know or doesn't she know? Because you think about, because I think about it like this. Liana is taken at the end of the first episode?
First episode, yeah.
End of the first episode. Okay. Now, by that point, if my timeline is correct, Mel's already at the compound. Now, this week we find out that, Milius is very smug about it when he says it. He's like, I didn't take her. She's not here.
Yeah. The only thing is I feel like I don't think that Melanie would be down with stuff. I do think that they could be completely lying to Melanie, but I don't think that Melanie would believe that Leighton would let Liana be away from him unless she thought he was dead. They could tell her that Leighton's dead. I don't know.
I mean, it does. It does raise the question, and I won't say anything about this, but Milius knows everybody's name. He knows everything about everybody. He knew to go to New Eden. He knew to keep, there was a baby that Leighton had. He knows everything. Where did he get this information?
It had to have been from Melanie, but not necessarily on
Wilfred can know this. Wilfred knows everything.
Oh, that's true too. Wilfred knows everything. Although Wilfred did he know about the baby? The baby wasn't born when
she was pregnant.
Yeah, remember
she was pregnant. You're right.
Remember Zara went to live on Wilfred's train because she felt like the doctor. Yeah. She was allowing doctor.
I still don't remember how the Wilfred stuff ended. I remember him being in a cage, and that's all I remember.
They put him in one of the little sidecars like Audrey went.
Oh, that's right. You said that to me.
They exiled him from the train when they should have killed him because, come on. Yeah.
Well,
but, And I would say, well, they're not going to kill an actor like Sean Bean on the show, but we know that isn't true. So
are you kidding me? Sean Bean never survives.
Sarcastic. I know I'm being sarcastic.
But I don't know. There was just something about this episode and the way Milius was talking to Leighton, and I just got this bad because remember, I mean, we all love Jennifer Connelly, and we like Melanie. But Melanie did not start out as a good person.
Melanie was the primary antagonist and the villain of the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So
I still don't think it's Melanie. I think it's Wilfred.
I'm just throwing this thought out there because it was just something that kind of popped in my head because,
like AJ
was saying, she thinks
there's a part of me that can see Melanie going, take. For whatever her reasoning, taking Liana and then telling Leighton later, listen, I knew I couldn't ask you because you were going to say no, but it's in everybody's best interest for this. Trust me. I can hear Melanie saying something like that. Not saying that's what happened. Just like I said, a thought that went in my head.
Yeah, that actually, I see what you're saying.
She wanted the baby for whatever she's working on, or you're saying that that it could be Melanie who suggested that the way to control Leighton is to kidnap his baby.
I don't know. Again,
this
is random thought that popped in my head.
Let me ask you guys, because this is what I'm kind of wondering, and I keep thinking, and it's just back because I know Ark. I think Ark was originally when she was saying we were talking about the hand. I think she was saying about Bogey. I always call him the wrong name. Bogey. The question I have though is all we know is that that's somebody from Snowpiercer. We don't know it's one of our people. That's why I actually wonder if
who else's people would they be?
No, but I mean not necessarily a good person. Like I was wondering if it could be Wilfred. If it could be Wilfred lost his hand or something.
Well, so I think when AJ says our people, he means everybody who was ever on Snowpiercer and Big Alec.
But I mean, I feel like when they say our people, they're implying they think it's one of the people on their side. So I'm just saying it could be somebody who was on Snowpiercer who wasn't good, is all I'm saying. I just wondered if it could have been something happened.
Yeah, most of those people are dead.
Sure. I don't know.
So It's either somebody from New Eden or somebody who didn't get off in New Eden and was on Snowpiercer, who
I
somehow.
assume it's somebody who didn't get off at New Eden, or that we didn't know they got off, or something like that.
Except that would imply that, like, could Milius, like, so was the hand chopped off on Snowpiercer and transported here to be put in the snow, or is there a lurker somewhere?
I think there's probably a lurker or something happened that they're unaware of. Maybe.
Well, let me put it this way: everybody that we are familiar with has been seen on the show, unless there's somebody I'm just completely forgetting about.
Now, unless, like, so there was speculation that maybe LJ didn't really die, but
that's
well,
a guy's hand.
That was a man's hand, though, wasn't it?
That was definitely
it's a man hand. But I'm just throwing that out there as, like, everybody is accounted for. Like, I when I saw that, I believed that LJ died. I did not believe that LJ survived.
No, I didn't believe it either. I thought that LJ was dead.
But yeah, it could be it's anyone from Snowpiercer. It could be somebody who got off in New Eden. It could be somebody who didn't get off in New Eden, and maybe they're lurking. Maybe they are on the side of Milius. Maybe they are on the side of Wilford. It could be Wilford. It's a man hand, unless you're in a Seinfeld episode, and then women can have man hands. But it's probably not Wilford. It could be Wilford's hand. Could be Rick Grimes' hand.
It's probably Rick's hand.
Yeah, it's probably
Rick Grimes' hand.
Probably Rick's hand.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So, oh my God. Every episode, do you feel like you can't wait for next week? I feel like every episode was so intense. I mean, whether or not I agree with all the action. And by the way, I didn't even talk about my two favorite people, Till and Ben. Till had another great episode. Till's the hero of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not in terms of, like, I'm not saying she's the hero who's going to save everyone. I just mean, like, she is, like, such a central part of these episodes.
Yeah. I like when she asks Josie, she's kind of struggling at first, and then she's like, "Oh, Audrey?" And she's like, "Yeah, she's alive." I like the way Josie answers without much information.
Yeah, like that wasn't helpful.
She doesn't say, "Oh, she's doing great. She's fine. Don't worry about her." She's like,
She's
"Yeah,
alive."
She's alive."
Which could mean any number of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I have loved about these episodes and about the whole season was the way they in the fourth season, you think you know every character, and you think these people were on a train together for 9 years. You think they all know each other, and then they're still this season finding ways to put characters together who I'm like, oh, have they ever even had a conversation before? This is great. How are these two teaming up? How are these two? Like, I love how they have flipped a lot of it around this season. And and there are some things I don't love about this storyline. Like, I don't love the fourth season being out. Suddenly there are people who've survived there are evil scientists who survived for 9 years. And, like, there are some things I don't love about the season that are already cropping up and may crop up.
You know what, though, Karen? To be fair, with the whole evil scientists and a bunker thing, that actually makes perfect sense. I mean, as soon as Milius explained it, I was like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, think about any end of the world scenario movie. I mean, think about not Judgment Day, the third Terminator 3, the bunker and everything,
Yeah.
The government always has contingencies for shit like this that us general public, aren't privy to. So it doesn't really surprise me that they grabbed all the smartest minds they could get their hands on and threw them all in a bunker and said, fix it.
Yeah, it doesn't. It actually seems like not a bad idea from a saving the world point of view, except only the assholes always seem to live, right? But it's a little tropey. But what I do like about it is that they've given Big Alice and Snowpiercer like a common enemy, and so we don't, like, the back and forth between the tail and the front, or the Melanie and the Leighton people, or the like, there's been a central conflict between and among the passengers every season,
Right.
and they were able to flip it, and this
Now
season
there's
is
an
really
outside
like
source.
everybody together against a common enemy. It's kind of a nice way to wrap it up.
Yeah, I agree.
Except Wilford, he'll never be on anybody's side. Wilford will
Well,
always
no.
be out for himself.
Well, of course. So
Yeah.
all right. Anything else? Or we gonna talk about Deadpool?
I think we're gonna.
Oh, you guys, that's right. You don't have House of the Dragon. I forgot it ended. I thought we had
House of the Dragon is over.
And last week.
Okay, well, Deadpool then. So, warning to anyone who's listening: if you have not seen Deadpool and Wolverine and do not want to be spoiled, then you probably should go. But before you do that, Karen, why don't you have? I was just gonna say maybe you want to talk about, you have Star Trek coming up. I mean, I know that obviously we've covered the show, but
yeah. So, Star Trek Discovery is going to be released on DVD, Blu-ray, and digital in like a month, later this month in September. And so there's a press tour this week to prepare for that. And I am going to speak with Wilson Cruz and Doug Jones from the cast on Thursday. And I'm looking, it's a nice opportunity. We don't always get to talk to cast after the show's over. It's just over, right? Like there's a lot of promotion leading up to the finale, and then you never talk to them again. So it's going to be kind of cool, I think, to have a chance to talk to them like months after it's all over. And I guess we'll talk a bit. The DVDs have like a gag reel and commentary tracks and stuff like that. So maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. And some other about the show. So if you got any questions, tweet them at Jamie.
yeah, it's Sci-Fi-vision.
Tweet them at Sci-Fi-vision. Tweet them at Sci-Fi.
Tell them where to tweet them, Karen.
Text them.
Actually, the link is on the bottom of your screen right now.
Oh yeah, see it? Twitter.com/Sci-fivision.
Send them to me at Sci-Fi-vision. I'll forward them to Karen. And then just look for that soon on sci-fivision.com. I just figured you might want to mention that, before we went into our Deadpool discussion.
That's our
but yeah, so now if you don't want to be spoiled for Deadpool, I think that's it. Other than that, we'll start with Deadpool because I don't think don't have anything else yet, do we? Before we move on,
nope.
I think that's it. Okay.
Oh, that's it.
All right. I really liked it.
All right, so bye everybody who hasn't seen the movie.
Yes, so bye. Spoiler. We need a screen that says spoiler alert.
We need one of those little things that runs across the bottom of the screen that we can click spoiler.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we're all like, duh.
Who do we go to first? Okay, AJ was waiting more than any of us to see this movie. So,
well, that's why I said you guys should go first.
Okay,
you want me to go first since I don't know anything, about
Jamie.
it? Okay,
go Jamie.
So I guess about a week, I think before now, I went and I watched the first two movies because I had not seen them. I did not know if I would like it or not because it for whatever reason before didn't look interesting to me. I've said before, I was not a Marvel fan until fairly recently when I saw Doctor Strange, which was actually the first time I saw Benedict and when I became a Marvel fan. But I finally had wanted to watch him since I was going to see this because I did want to see this movie because it looked really good. I enjoyed the first two, but I really liked this movie. I think it was even better than the first two. I mean, let's be fair. I do think sometimes this movie is a bit much. I feel like kind of like how Karen says about Resident Alien. Sometimes it's like kind of, teen boy humor, and there's a little bit much of the anal jokes and the violence and everything. But that being said, I still really liked it. And I saw it in 3D. It ended up cheaper for me to see it in 3D. I think that 3D for this movie was actually worth the money. Just because even just watching like the fight scenes and the blood squirting everywhere, I enjoyed it. I don't know why I'm saying that, but I don't know. I just thought it was cool. I did enjoy that. I love this. And the other thing I really like about this movie, and granted, this is in all the movies, I like that there are so many just like joke, like references, you know, to other Marvel shit. Yeah, I thought it was really funny. The only thing is I don't like that she killed Doctor Strange, but other than that,
Did she kill what?
that she killed Doctor Strange. But other than that,
That was
no,
a variant of Doctor Strange.
yeah, I know, it wasn't our Doctor Strange, but I really liked it. I liked that they brought back characters that were from a long time ago, or that were maybe more obscure. I thought that was pretty cool. I did know who was going to be in it though, because I had looked at the cast list ahead of time, so I knew some of the ones that were coming back. But like I said, I like all the, you know, all the jokes, whether they were just kind of like Marvel references or whatever. Even like Blade, like there'll never be another Blade or whatever it was he said. When we know obviously that's not the case.
Yeah, there's only ever been one Blade. Only ever gonna be one Blade. That's because of all the turmoil that's going on right now with Shala Ali's Blade.
Yeah. But things like that. The only thing I question is, I'm curious if there's a reason why there was like a lot of Furiosa jokes. Like, that's not Marvel though. Is it even Disney?
It doesn't.
Just because it
doesn't
looked like
matter.
It kind of...
They can make jokes about whatever they want.
No, I just wondered if there was a reason, because like I told you, I didn't quite get the Henry Cavill
because Furiosa,
I think
they knew. I think they might have known that they were going to be in the theater around the same time as Furiosa, and since Furiosa was supposed to be such a big deal.
Yeah. Then of course the other good thing, Aaron Stanford. Like, I was like, that was cool. Yeah. That made me happy. So that was neat. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything specifically. I mean, I liked the story. So some of it was not, you know, I mean, some of it was kind of predictable, but that didn't necessarily matter. Yeah, and I liked all the different Deadpools, although it figures that the one Deadpool that isn't invincible is the one that he gets killed.
Nice Pool.
Nice
I love Nice Pool. Nice Pool is one of my favorites.
And I love Dogpool, of course. Dogpool is awesome. And I think it was funny too, though, whenever Wolverine picks up Dogpool and uses him as his shield, and like nobody will shoot the dog. It's just like the best part, because that just made me laugh, because it's like, yeah, can't hurt the dog. I got one question there for you guys, because there's one thing that kind of, I don't know why, but it was just one of those things that like it looked weird to me, like something was off, and it stuck out to me, and I just couldn't quit noticing it. The stuff with Nice Pool, I'm not sure if it was that, because obviously this movie, even though it's, you know, was made by, I think it was sort of partially made by originally by a smaller studio or whatever the first ones, but obviously this movie has a big budget and they have, you know, tons of money to do the effects the right way. But something about Nice Pool looked off. I'm not sure if it's that it was a body double part of it and not him really, or if maybe they filmed it at different times and he wasn't as buff when he did that or something. Something about Nice Pool looked weird to me.
Maybe it was the long hair.
Not just the long hair, but he looked like less buff, for lack of a better word.
I think he's supposed to be
Reynolds. Yeah, he is. So maybe that was it. Maybe they digitally altered him to make him look like that, because he looked like skinny or something. Like, it just didn't look like Ryan Reynolds in the costume for whatever odd reason. But that was the only other thing. And I liked how they had a lot of the dancing and stuff, and the music in the beginning. That fight was awesome. With the Backstreet Boys, whatever it is, whatever boy band it is. In sync. Okay, see, that's how much I know. But yeah, that was funny. Even if he was desecrating Wolverine's grave, which wasn't so nice, but was funny nonetheless.
You know, I read an interview about that in the Hollywood Reporter just recently, with the guys who made this movie, and they talked about how they always intended they were not going to trample on Logan. It's a great movie. People really like the movie, and they were not going to try to retcon that or change that, or you know, in that movie, they pointed out that movie takes place in 2029. And so that maybe hasn't happened, you know, and because it's a multiverse, it's a chance for you to, they knew they were not going to mess with that at all. They weren't going to touch it. And so they got to talking like, well, what should we do? And then the conversation came around to like, well, let's just take it head on. Like, this is Deadpool, and he's the most irreverent guy. And maybe the way that we pay respect to Logan is by having Deadpool like not pay any respect to Logan. and kind of totally admit that he's not, because Deadpool also is the ultimate like kind of like
jackass.
Well,
but in the best way, right?
Well, I mean, not maybe in the best way, but he's a guy that acts without thinking. He's a guy. Yeah. He's not that smart. He acts without thinking, and thinks only about himself. And it is the kind of thing that Deadpool would do, maybe, right?
Yeah.
And so they kind of like doing that was kind of their way of being like, yes, Logan exists, it's a thing, and we are not gonna like make it like that didn't happen, and Deadpool's gonna have to deal with the fact that Logan is dead to stay. So I mean, that was kind of cool. It kind of like, to me, I appreciated reading about that kind of intentionality in a movie that, look, I enjoyed this movie. It's a lot of fun. As a piece of storytelling, it's like why it's a complete disaster. Why did they try to have a plot? Like the plot, first of all, it requires you to really have watched Loki, and like they introduced.
Yeah, I liked all the Loki stuff. That was cool. But yes, you really should have.
That's because you're in love with Hiddleston and you watched that very closely.
I don't know that that's accurate, but I do like Loki. But
you watch closely. But Loki was not that watched. It's not the most watched of the Marvel shows. A lot of movie fans don't watch the shows, and this second season in particular was not as well watched. And it requires you to understand, like, the TVA, the void, the timelines, the pruning. Like, there's in some ways this movie is loaded with exposition, and there's like basically almost no exposition about anything that comes out of Loki. I watched this movie. There was a group of 36 of us who went together.
Oh wow, that's a big group.
It was a birthday party for me and my friend's birthday. So there were 36 of us rented out the space. I sat next to a person who has never seen any Marvel movies, and she was able to enjoy it. And a lot of it went over her head. But one great thing about this movie is, like, if you don't get the joke, that's fine, because in the next 60 seconds, there'll be 3 more jokes and you'll get probably 2 of them. Right.
Yeah.
So it while it required you in some sense to understand a lot, it also kind of didn't, because like, who cares about, like, just.
Yeah, I don't think you necessarily needed to completely understand the TVA to understand the movie. Like, I think it helped, but I don't know that you.
No. I mean, I personally thought that whole bit with like Charles Xavier's daughter or whatever was kind of like weak.
Sister.
What? Sister. See, it was incomprehensible. I don't even know what I saw, because you can't even really understand any of it.
But yeah, did you guys know who that was? Because it took me a second to realize. Yeah, I didn't realize who it was at first.
Yeah.
But and also, Lethal Migraine definitely enjoyed the movie too. It's the best Marvel movie. It's definitely one of my favorite Marvel movies. I mean, I still like, Doctor Strange. I didn't start really watching Marvel movies till I watched Doctor Strange, because I liked it so much. It made me watch the Marvel movies. So I'm still gonna like that. But other than that, it was definitely my favorite.
I'm interested to hear AJ, who is familiar with the comics version, right? Like, you have read Deadpool in the comics.
So.
Right.
This was amazing. I mean, I loved everything about this movie. I mean, I've been so excited since the minute I saw Ryan Reynolds sitting on a couch, Hugh Jackman walking by, and Ryan saying, "Hey Hugh, want to play Wolverine again? Sure, why not?" I have been, for the past couple of years, I could not wait. And and I've talked about this. I've watched some of the trailers. I stayed away from. So I've noticed that movies, what they seem to be doing with all movies, is like the first 2 or 3 trailers, they're all kind of the same scenes, but in different orders. And then the closer you get to movies, the more the trailer shows. I didn't know this because I stopped watching after like the 3rd trailer. But apparently they spoiled Daphne Keane in the trailer. Like, there was a trailer like 3 days before the premiere, and Daphne Keane was in the trailer. So, but I went into it having no idea Daphne Keane was in the movie. because I didn't see that trailer. Because I've caught on to this. So, I mean, there was a lot of surprises for me because I stayed away from most of it. And that's how you got to go into movies like this, especially when you know and have seen as much as I have. I mean, first of all, how much did the soundtrack cost them? My God, it was like every scene had a big time
they paid
song going on. The opening scene, I was crying. Oh my God. And that wasn't Ryan Reynolds doing those dance moves.
No, I know. It wasn't nice.
And there's actually somebody listed in the cast credits as Deadpool. It's the act. It's
you went out, AJ. Say that again.
I said the person who did the acting is actually in the cast. If you look at IMDb, he's actually in there as Dancepool.
That's cool.
Brian was like, "There's no way I'm doing those movies." I just couldn't believe that. Like, and using Logan's adamantium bones as weapons was just amazing. I mean, everything about it was great. Emma Corrin. This is only the second thing I've seen Emma Corrin in. The first thing was The Murder at the End of the World. Yeah. She is an amazing actor. I absolutely loved her as the villain. I thought I actually felt was, and this is a ridiculous movie with not a real strong plot. Still had a plot, not the strongest plot because of the type of movie it is. Honestly, with the way Marvel's been, I think she's probably one of the strongest villains we've had in a long time. She was actually a really great villain. It's a shame, of course, they had to kill her like they always do with villains, but we could always get an alternate version of her down the road when the X-Men finally premiere. All the cameos were great.
What's his face instead of Captain America being
Johnny Storm? That was great because when you first see him, before you see who it is, he's got like an American flag armband on. So automatically, everybody, it's to get everybody to think it's Captain America. And I was like, wow. I was like, this alternate version of Cap swears a lot. I was like, something's not right here. And then he said flame on. And I was like, oh my God, I should have seen that coming.
Now, he isn't playing him subsequently, right? Or was that just for this?
But everything at the Void is variants.
That's what I mean. So he's not.
He played. Okay, but Chris Evans played Johnny Storm in the original Fantastic Four.
In the Fox ones. That's right.
The Fox Fantastic Four.
I forgot he did. You're right.
Same thing with Elektra and Blade, and these are all Fox.
You know what I remember from the Elektra movie? I shouldn't tell you what I remember from the Elektra movie because it's sad.
You shouldn't remember anything from that movie.
No, I remember from the Elektra movie that Jason Isaacs was in the Elektra movie. That's what I remember.
Oh, that's why she remembers.
Because that's why I have the Elektra movie.
And I mean that was so great. And that's the great thing about Deadpool because of all the fourth wall breaking and pop culture references. When he's like, oh, I'm so sorry about Daredevil, and she's like, because of the real life divorce between her and Affleck. So I thought that was pretty funny.
That Johnny Storm, that's his name, Johnny.
Yes.
That scene was so. Most of the coverage I've read about this film of late has been in the Hollywood Reporter, and in this interview with the creator, the guys that co-wrote the script, that was one of the very first scenes that they knew they wanted to include. That was like one of the as they were developing the script, that was one of the first things they came up with.
Yeah, I've seen a couple interviews with Sean Levy, and they all pretty much play the same. With most of the cameos, were him and Ryan and some of the other two writers sitting around and just throwing ideas around. And like at some point, Ryan would be like, "Wouldn't it be great if we did this?" And then he texted Chris Evans and told him his idea, and Chris Evans responded with, "I'm in."
According to Sean Levy, the way they got Hugh Jackman was like Ryan Reynolds just kept calling him for like years until he agreed to make this movie.
Well, I'm sure you've seen it. Like Hugh Jackman has talked about how he saw the first Deadpool and he was like, "Oh my God, Deadpool Wolverine would be great." And then all of a sudden he'd remember, "Oh shit, I just quit."
Yeah. I'm sure you've also seen the coverage. AJ, you talk about how much you love the soundtrack. So that the fight scene choreographed to Like a Prayer was also it was also one of the very first things that Ryan Reynolds, he has known for years that he wanted to do this scene, and that he and Hugh Jackman had to go meet Madonna in person to
Yes,
license
I
that
read that
song.
article too. Yeah, and
Oh,
apparently
wow.
Madonna, they went in person, asked her for the song, and she made suggestions on how to make the scene better.
Yeah.
They played the scene for her,
Yep.
and she made suggestions, and they took her suggestions.
Yeah. They gave her notes. Gave them notes.
So back to the cameos, though, it was so great. Like, it was funny because, like, I see Jennifer Garner come out, and actually Jennifer Garner was the one rumor I'd heard about that she was in it. She comes out as Elektra, and I turned to Artie and I was like, I told you so, because he didn't believe it. And then to see Blade come out, I was like, he got the biggest pop.
Oh yeah.
And then I
Well,
see
you
Gambit's
know-
card. I see the card come out, and I said, I was like, oh my God, no. And now keep in mind, Gambit is my favorite X-Men. He has been my favorite X-Men since I started reading comics a long time ago. Okay, so Gambit's my favorite. Back when the X-Men were a big deal with Fox and everything, they were making movies. They were going to have the standalone movie with Gambit. And I heard Channing Tatum was in the running to play Gambit. I was like, I just don't see it. I was like, I feel like that's a mistake. And then I see the card come out, and I'm thinking, oh my God. And sure enough, Channing Tatum comes walking out. I was like, oh no. But I gotta say,
apparently, AJ, Channing Tatum has wanted to play Gambit for years. There was
Yeah, I
talk
know.
of a standalone movie. It got canceled. Channing Tatum
Yeah.
has been very disappointed.
But I just never, and I gotta say, I still go with my feeling. I still feel Channing, I understand he really wants to play the character, but I just feel I don't know, he just doesn't look right. And I know they went over the top with it. His lines, apparently his scenes made more people break character than any other scenes in the entire movie. Ryan Reynolds himself broke during Tatum's lines. Daphne Keane couldn't keep it together.
And the accent is totally Channing Tatum's creation. Like he did a lot of research, actually, apparently, into like some authentic Louisiana area accents and came up with that himself. He's so committed to Gambit.
Yeah, they definitely went over the top though with that. That whole thing was pretty great overall. I don't feel like Tatum's the right person.
Blade was my favorite, partly because like how long have we been waiting for a Blade? Blade was really the first of the of these movies, right?
Yeah, even I had seen the Blades. I think it's funny though. Ryan Reynolds was in the one Blade way back when.
Yeah.
Well, so where I was going with that was that it has been legendary for like 20 years now that Wesley Snipes hates Ryan Reynolds. Because of Blade, right? And that
which
was never true.
No, that's been going around for
I know
ever since the movie came out that he hates Ryan Reynolds, that Wesley Snipes was a jerk on set, and everybody hated him and he hated everyone, and Ryan Reynolds as a result stole too much of the movie, and like Wesley Snipes was refusing to be like to cooperate, and so they gave more and more scenes to the sidekicks. And like the story goes that Wesley Snipes hates Ryan Reynolds and would never make this movie. And then he did his cameo in this movie because it's not really, it's true that there were problems production wise and that Wesley Snipes was dissatisfied with his experience on that film. I think that much is true, right? But it's not true that he has a vendetta against Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, no. And that's why that great line was great when Blades looks at Deadpool and he's like, I don't like you. And Deadpool goes, and you never have.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I was so happy, though. The one thing, everybody made a big deal about Lady Deadpool and who was Lady Deadpool, who was going to be. And the fact that it was Blake Lively.
Or at least the voices. I don't know.
It was great.
I had read
No,
it
was actually her.
I don't know if the body was. Okay.
Yeah, no, it was her. She was in the outfit. One of the reasons that's so great, and it had to be her, was because, oh Jesus, I can't think of the artist's name now. I can't think of the comic artist. His Rob Liefeld.
Oh yeah, he created
who created Deadpool and Lady Deadpool. Funny story about that is, she has a one-shot comic. Like she's in the Deadpool comics, they've been Deadpool Corps, and there's been a bunch of different alternate Deadpools, and they went around the galaxy fighting crime and stuff and whatever. But she eventually got her own standalone comic, one issue, and at the end of the issue, she takes off her mask and she's perfectly fine. She's like the exact opposite of Wade Wilson. Like she doesn't have a blemish on her face, whereas he looks like
he's severely disfigured.
She doesn't have a blemish on her face, which leads to the question, and nobody knows the answer yet because they have never made another comic with her of why does she wear the mask then? She was inspired by Blake Lively. Apparently, Rob Liefeld was a huge fan of Gossip Girl.
Really?
And he drew Wanda Wilson as, inspired by Blake Lively. Ironically, around the same time, and Blake and Ryan weren't even together yet. They actually, a couple months after the comic was released, they would meet for the first time on the set of Green Lantern.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
artist
crazy.
Or you mean
the artist when the artist wrote the comic?
No, I mean when he said they met, you mean the artist met her?
No, Ryan Reynolds.
Blake and Ryan met on the set.
Okay.
I missed a couple months after the comic. So it's cute little story that all this, which had no connection earlier, all comes together.
Yeah.
In the cosmos that we live in.
Yeah.
And all his kids
were in it too.
And all his kids all his kids were one of the variant Deadpools. Baby Pool was the new baby. Kid Pool was, I think he said Inez.
Yeah, all his kids.
And I forget which one Betty was.
Yeah.
And Walker Scoble, who he was with in the Atom Project, was supposed to be Kid Pool, but by the time they finally got around to shooting it, after the delays with everything, he was looking too old to play Kid Pool.
He looks really old. Did you see the trailer from Disney for the new season? Yeah. He looks like, I'm like, wait, is he getting he's looking a little old there? So young man. No. Yeah.
And of course we have, the Henry Cavill cameo was great. Oh, we'll treat you so much better than the guys down the street.
Yeah, that was great.
And Henry Cavill got in the gag too. Since then he's been in interviews. And he made a joke about how he only shaved the mustache just to be careful because there's a story because he was doing Mission Impossible and he had a mustache in Mission Impossible and he was filming something for DC and he had the mustache and they digitally altered it. And he kept getting shit from DC about it.
Yeah.
So he took a little piece.
It was amazing. They got all these people who aren't even like how they got Matthew McConaughey to do a cameo, right? They got
what was he in it? I'm trying to remember. I don't remember.
He was the cowboy.
He was Cowboy Deadpool. He was just the voice.
Nathan Fillion.
And I was saying Headpool was Nathan Fillion.
Yep. Nathan Fillion is the head. And then if you count people like Happy, who I don't know if I would even call that as a cameo, really, because that's like,
kind of, okay, part of the story more.
Yeah. And they, they have so many. I mean, I don't read those comics, but I think, AJ, that all the variant Wolverines that Deadpool like kind of cycles through looking for his main one, they're real, like Deadpool from real Wolverines from the comics, right?
Yes and no. So, comic accurate Deadpool or Wolverine, the one that was like short. It's because in the comics, Wolverine's only like 5'3". All right.
Yeah, he's real short.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman is 6'6".
Yeah.
So that's why there was that joke. The Wolverine in the brown and yellow costume is the first appearance of Wolverine when he fights the Hulk, which we had that little glimpse of the Hulk. And seeing the Hulk's reflection in Wolverine's claws like that is actually the cover of the comic.
Yeah.
The one where he's the one where he's on the cross, that's another comic arc.
There's an old one too.
Yeah.
Trying to think what other one.
There was
Patches,
an older one.
Patches, the one where he's got the eye patch and the white suit. Yeah. he in Madripoor, which was in Falcon and Winter Soldier, where they were. He and actually there's a little Easter egg in that too, because there's actually a sign that says Patches. So that's his because he owns a bar in Madripoor as a gangster named Patches. I'm trying to remember what other cameos there were. Oh,
I said there was an older version of him.
older version of him?
It was supposed to be like an older Wolverine. It looked like.
Yeah, well, there were so many.
No,
And
you
it-
just were asking. I was just listening. I remembered there was.
Yeah,
one.
and then there's a storyline called Age of Apocalypse where he's more feral, which that was one of them also. So yeah, they had a lot of fun. It was a very fun movie, and then Artie had to go and see it a second time with his girlfriend, and he said it's even better the second time.
Okay.
And that happens sometimes because like you can only catch so much on the first viewing of something you haven't seen before. So when you go to see something, and you know what's coming, you kind of like look more.
Well, this is a movie that you would have to watch many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about
Catch
Blind
everything,
Owl? When
right?
she said something like, "Did she wish she couldn't hear?" or something? I forget what she said, but that was funny.
This movie's dialogue is like
Oh my god.
what Wes Anderson is to like visuals. This movie is to dialogue. And you have to really, it was enjoyable. It's a real popcorn movie, right? Like this movie, like has some.
And
Yeah.
by this weekend, it's going to be the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time.
Really?
Yep. The current highest grossing R-rated movie of all time right now is Joker.
Oh yeah.
By this weekend, Deadpool, like they're like on the cusp of it right now. So they're saying by this weekend, at the rate they're going, by this weekend, it's going to eclipse it.
I mean, that's really saying something. And
Like I think Joker's record is 1.7 billion. And right now, Deadpool and Wolverine are at 1.4. So,
I mean, it paid off, and I think it's 12 o'clock. We should probably wrap this up. I have to, you have to give Disney credit for committing to R-rated superhero movies, which probably took them a little bit out of their comfort zone, and to letting a movie that's so critical of their other movies, right? Like this movie is very critical of Disney. Although if you read like any of the Sean Levy interviews, they pretty much there were jokes that they were too afraid to like put in there, and then they let like those had to be Ryan Reynolds jokes. Like sometimes, like if Sean Levy had a joke that he thought was too much, he wouldn't put it in. But Ryan Reynolds, they'd be like, "Oh, that's a Ryan Reynolds joke," and they could maybe get it.
They could blame him.
Well, not really blame him, but they would use the Ryan Reynolds ones that went kind of far, right? When they
could do it,
when they sometimes couldn't they couldn't maybe write some of those jokes themselves. Because they have
get away with it.
But Ryan Reynolds could get away with it. And they would use some of the Ryan Reynolds jokes that were like, he could get them through in a way those guys can't.
Well, I gotta say, I mean, the decision to go R-rated is huge for the whole franchise, because if Blade ever gets made, Blade needs to be rated R. Blade PG-13. I don't even want to know what a PG-13 Blade looks like.
Yeah. Was the first Blade rated R? It had to
All
be.
three of them were.
All three of them were rated R. They would have to be. They're pretty violent. They would really have to be. I mean, I'm dying for another Blade. That's Blade is the one that I'd really like to see.
Yeah, it's funny actually. Artie and I were talking last night about the upcoming slate of movies and everything, and I was like, honestly, I'm not really that excited. I mean, I want to see the movies that are coming up and everything, but I'm not overly excited for any of these movies, really. I was like, the one movie I'm excited about, I don't think is ever going to get made, which is Blade.
Yeah, that might not get made. I will say something I've said to you guys many times before. I'm over the multiverse, and like
We're over the multiverse.
It sounds
from
like
day
they
one.
are too.
I was over the multiverse like a long
Day
time
one.
ago. Before Multiverse of Madness, I was over the multiverse, and it wouldn't bother me to not watch another multiverse movie anymore.
Well, that's all that's out there right now. Well, no, actually, all right. So the new Captain America, that's in the Prime timeline. That's in the Sacred timeline. Fantastic Four is in an alternate universe. Doomsday is going to be in an alternate universe. And I don't even know what the hell else is coming, but I should know, but I don't. But let's put it this way: you're gonna have to deal with multiverse until Secret Wars. That'll be the last multiverse movie.
All right, I'll have to put up with it.
You gotta wait for two. You gotta put up with it for 2 more years.
I'm just kind of over it. I don't know. I'm kind of over it. It's such an easy out storytelling wise, right? Like, and if everything can always be
rewritten,
like
everything.
when does any of it stop making sense? And maybe I get it in comic books more than I could maybe accept it more in a format like comics where you literally have to write these characters for like 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right?
Well, part of the reason they're doing it, and I think they're doing it in the MCU, is because, like, all right, so the Fantastic Four, for example, the reason they're a multiverse movie is because if they were in the Prime timeline, where the hell have they been this whole time? Why haven't they been helping with like Thanos?
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I get it in that aspect. You know, same thing. I mean, until they bought Fox, the X-Men weren't even part of any of this. Now the thing is where to explain where they've been. That's where the multiverse kind of So it kind of in a way it kind of works and helps to a point. But yeah. I agree. Yeah. I mean. I'm glad.
I feel like there's a difference between having a movie be an alternate timeline and having a movie focus on the multiverse.
Well, that's because you like Doctor Strange.
No. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like there's a big difference of you saying you don't like the multiverse and having a movie like Fantastic Four take place in an alternate timeline. That isn't exact. I mean, it's technically multiverse, but it doesn't have to be like about the multiverse. It's just an alternate timeline. Yeah. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's probably why Multiverse of Madness is among my least favorite Marvel movies ever. Because it's an entire movie focused on that. Rather than...
Which is funny because you really like Loki a lot, and Loki is all about the multiverse.
And so is this movie, Deadpool too.
But Loki is
so much more. Deadpool's a popcorn movie.
Yeah, it's a little different.
It is. And Loki season 1 was so much about Loki's development as a person. But yeah.
Well, the whole overall show was a
popcorn movie. This is not a movie that anybody will ever remember what it was actually about. And I mean, it is kind of, I think, so we don't want to go too long, but it is kind of like the one kind of really big thing I think that we have not seen in any Marvel movie before, the idea of an anchor being. And that this anchor being...
I don't like that.
I don't like it either. And I've watched
I made Artie think, because afterwards we were talking about it, and I said, but technically speaking, in the time like because Logan doesn't take place till 2029, and their present is 2024. How does that work? You know what I mean? But at the same time, you could go to any point and so technically speaking,
it has
Logan. So Wolverine goes back with Deadpool to hit all his friends and everything. Technically speaking, there are 2 Wolverines now in that timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because the Wolverine from Logan is not dead yet.
Yeah.
So I understand why they did it for a plot point, but if you think too hard about it, it kind of unravels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the idea. Yeah, and if the anchor being like, if you have an anchor being, then you can't be pruned with your whole time. Like, yeah, and
Well, they don't prune timelines anymore.
well, yeah, they don't prune timelines anymore either, but except for Mr. Paradox. But yeah, anyway, yeah, popcorn movie. It was a lot of fun. It didn't always make sense.
But it doesn't have to.
Vanessa was so underused that I think Vanessa shouldn't even have been in it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
like they brought her back and then didn't hardly have her in it.
Well, because Marina Baccarin probably was like, "I'll do a cameo and that's it." I mean, she is the love of Deadpool's life, right? And can you?
Well, in the movies, she is.
Okay, in the movies, she is the love of his life, and so can you make the movie without her?
Yeah, to be fair, nobody from the first two Deadpool movies that was in this movie really played much. I mean, actually, Peter played more of a role than anybody.
Yeah. So, anyway, I'm glad we had a chance to talk about it. We should wrap this up, I guess. It's getting late, right?
Yeah, we've been on for over 2 hours. So,
yeah.
Thank you, everybody who listened. If you stuck with us, we appreciate it. If you're listening to this after the fact, we still appreciate it. And we'll be back next week. And like I said at the start of the show, we will probably pretty soon be having some special guests. And once we get confirmation, we will announce that. And if you have any Star Trek questions for Karen's interview, send them to Sci-Fivision on Twitter and I'll forward them to her.
Okay, thanks. Good night.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.